This is Mike Franklin. I'm the legal representative for 10283 Lake Road in town of Urbana, Steuben County. I'm a licensed New York State real estate broker with 25 years experience as to what properties list for, sell for, assess for, and appraise for, and 13 years of experience advocating for taxpayers in bar and scar hearings, including 4 years as a small claims assessment review hearing officer for 6 counties. I participated in hundreds of cases, so I'm familiar with the law, and I'm an expert in real estate valuation in upstate New York. This particular assessor has 2,071 properties to assess. It's a big job. It's a difficult job, and I respect the job that she has to do and the effort that goes into it. However, I submitted a Freedom of Information Act request for various data that are necessary to have a productive hearing, including the comparable sales report, comparable assessed report, cost valuation report for each property that the assessor concludes to be comparable, and the land tables, and subject property inventory summary, and the sales analysis report, all of which I'm entitled to by law. They have 5 days to acknowledge my FOIL request, and then they have 20 days to fulfill it. And I submitted that May 1st, and I still don't have all the data. And until just yesterday at 3 o'clock, I finally got the cost analysis reports for the assessor's comps, which, by the way, are not comparable. And so that is something the assessor can do something about. It's a customer service issue, and it's her job to fulfill those FOILs. It's also the law. And I expect better in the future. Also, I attempted to interact with the assessor to review these matters, which is also her job, and she refused to do that. And as a result, the court is going to have to do her job for her, because she and I should have been reviewing these things to get to the bottom of what's right. It's impossible to get 2,071 properties right. And when a taxpayer has a concern, the assessor has an obligation to look into it in good faith. And that wasn't done. That's another thing that she can correct. So anyway, I expect better in the future. I believe this is her first year, so I have some understanding for that, but I would appreciate it moving forward so that we can have productive hearings, that the FOIL be honored, and that she respond to the taxpayers' concerns in good faith. Okay, regarding 10283 Lake Road, town of Urbana, Steuben County. The property assessment increased from fair market value of $676,216 in 2024 to $812,300 in 2025. We are requesting $609,225, as that's legally the least that we are allowed to ask for. The property was misclassified as a 210 single-family year-round property, and site property class was classified as 283 residential with commercial use. Both are incorrect. The property is a 260 seasonal residence. The taxpayer has no idea why this would be considered year-round, let alone commercial. The property is 1,038 square feet, 260 seasonal cabin, built as a log cabin in 1940 and subsequently sided with vinyl and shingle. So it doesn't really look like a log cabin, but that's what it is. The property has no insulation, and water is pumped seasonally from the lake and winterized. It has electric, meaning it is not livable during the winter, which is why it's seasonal. It has electric baseboard heat only. No fireplace, no wood stove, no central heat, no air conditioning. House sits on a slab. There is no foundation. The assessor misclassified construction grade as average. It should be classified as economy. It is a cabin with siding, but it's still a cabin. Construction grade is as built. Vinyl siding was a past renovation, not a construction. Renovations impact condition, not grade. See attached New York State Assessor's Manual. Property has been compared with comparable sales purposes, for comparable sales purposes by assessor to properties with grade classified as average. It should be compared to year-round properties. It should be compared to other 260 cabins/cottages. Okay, it's a 1,038 square feet cabin. And then to the right, you'll see what was their dock. It was unsafe, and it had to be torn down. The assessor has them as having two docks, the one you see on the left and the one on the right. The one on the right no longer exists. The one on the left is in poor condition. As of March 1st, 2025, the two docks, one of the two docks was dilapidated, unsafe, and subsequently removed. Photo above is current condition of right-hand dock looking at to the water. The picture was taken 8/4/2025. As of 3/1/2025, it was dilapidated and unsafe, and subsequently removed to the condition you see here. The existing dock is in poor condition. Assessor has it graded as normal. It is not normal. It is poor. Fair at the most. There have been no recent improvements or renovations as of taxable status date. Deduct $12,889 for non-existing dock per the assessor's cost valuation report. Deduct $6,800 for poor dock condition. Deduct $20,000 for non-commercial use. If this were commercial use, we'd be doing an income valuation, not a comparable sales analysis. Deduct $30,000 for misclassification as year-round. It is seasonal. It has no heating system or foundation. Deduct $97,895 for square footage cost per square foot and misclassification of grade. It is a very basic cabin and vinyl siding. They had they calculated it $315 a square foot and $429 a square foot, which is insane. It is a very basic cabin with vinyl and shingle siding. The cost per square foot should be $250 at the most per square foot, and less for the second level, which is at $149. It should be more like $100. Adjustments. Total adjustments to correct inventory would be $167,584. Now we'll get to the comparables. Residential properties are assessed based on comparable sales. Assessor's comparable sales report were foiled and found that 3 properties were used. All 3 were 210 single-family year-round properties, when the subject property is a seasonal 260 cabin cottage, sided log cabin, which means none of her comparables are comparable because they're 210s and this property is a 260. So later you'll see that I ran the ImageMate county records comparable sales for seasonal 260, and I came up with my own comps, which are legitimate comps. The assessors are not legitimate. Assessor used $315 as cost. Made an adjustment to $296. 1940 cabin is not 296 square foot construction. I estimate 200 would be more appropriate. Adjust 3/4 area from 149 to 100. Assessor only deducted $27.52 for adjustment for seasonal year-round property, which is ridiculous. She provided a $19,270 credit for the slab versus standard foundation with seller or partial seller. Foundation costs a lot more than $19,275. I took her her credit into consideration, but the credit needs to be $50,000, so I made a $30,000 adjustment. $32,100 for the adjustment on the square footage. Regarding the burden of proof, due to the excessive inventory errors and misclassification, the assessor cannot be presumed to be correct. And also the waterfront is not a commodity. Assessor used multipliers to value frontage that put most of the value in frontage improperly. The methodology is arbitrary and capricious unless the assessor can demonstrate how frontage calculation multipliers were calculated. Assessor refused to provide land tables that I'm entitled to per New York State Freedom of Information law. If we had that data, we might be able to see where she is going with those figures. There is an appearance that they are arbitrary and capricious. If the burden of proof has been established as fulfilled by petitioner, we ask the court require the assessor substantiate how they came up with these frontage figures. How they came up with the 5250 for the secondary frontage calculation. Over 50 feet. I will address assessor's comps first, and then I will address actual comparable 260 sales. Here is her comp. It's not comparable. I made $172,000 worth of adjustments, consistent with my inventory analysis. Comp 2, made adjustments to 577. That's pretty consistent with my comparable sales of actual proper comps. Comp 3, it has an additional 91 square foot of frontage, so I made the following adjustments. Bring it to 561, which is in the ballpark of what my comparable analysis came in at for a properly classified property. That probably came out correct because of the adjustments I made for seasonal and foundation. These properties all have foundations. Subject property does not. All these properties are year-round. The subject property is not. Okay, so those are her 3 comps, and I provided her comp sales report. It is below, and you'll see that at the bottom of this page. Here's my comps. 9816 Westlake Road. It is a 260 seasonal. It has an enormous amount of frontage that the assessor did not charge for. So I made an adjustment. The 228 feet of frontage is assessed at 757. The subject is 365. And so my adjustment is 391. Let me see here. 288 feet of frontage versus 70. It's crazy. 228 frontage at 757 is subject is 350. So I made that 391 800 adjustment. I'd say that's very conservative. 53,000 for the less square footage. 6250. I adjusted up because they have less square footage. I adjusted up because they have no bath. I adjusted down because it is a year-round property. I didn't adjust down as much as the other properties because this too is on a slab. So I only gave it a half adjustment for seasonal. They're heating it, but it's still on a slab. Comes out to 452. Mostly because of that land. The assessor just simply did not charge for the land. It's improper. Okay. Second count. It has less frontage, so I adjusted up. It has 1/2 less bathroom, so I adjusted up. I deducted for the additional square footage. It has 1248 square feet. Subject has 1038. I adjusted down for the second dock. This property has 2 docks. So it comes about at 544. I think that's where we're at for the house. This property has an additional 74 feet of frontage that the assessor did not charge for. Just completely nothing. And so subject property has 77 feet of frontage, so the assessor charges $52.50 per foot of frontage. So I adjusted up for that because subject has 77, but I adjusted down for the 50 feet of frontage that she didn't charge for at all. There's 124 feet of frontage, and the subject has 77. It's a big difference. The assessor may charge a lower rate for properties that have over 100 feet, but since the assessor didn't provide the land table, we can't calculate this. So this is what I have for now. That would make this adjust up, and where we need to be is at 450. But basically, relative to this property, subject property is getting abused significantly. They paid. You go back here. They paid $565 in 2021. It's only assessed for $557. So it's assessed for less than what they paid for in 2021. That is not the normal trend. Check out these other ones. They paid $490 for it, and it doubled almost. Whereas that one went down, and this one sold for $675, and it went up, somewhat. So I would expect this other one to go up somewhat, but it didn't. So that's the problem with the comparable sales analysis. The comparable sales analysis has the house at five, right in the ballpark of 550, but we can only ask for 609. Is the lowest we're allowed. So 550 for the house. That's all that's been addressed thus far. We're asking for 609,225. This is Mike Franklin, legal representative for 10283 Lake Road, town of Urbana. Thank you.